Hello everyone. We have already made 3 videos on percentage where we told everything about what is the meaning of percentage and what kind of question comes in percentage. Now, in this video, we are talking about that if in case there is the question where it is given that something is increased by 20% or something is decreased by 10%. So what actually is the meaning of these phrases which are used in the chapter percentage? Now when we look at the ratios, we know that A upon B is C upon D, or the ratio of A and B is equal to the ratio of C and D. Here we can write it A upon B is equal to C upon D, where A multiplied by D is equals to B multiplied by C after cross multiplying the two. Or to this we say that the product of extremes is always equals to product of middles. Now we know that these are terms to be the extremes and these are the meaning of the middles. So A multiplied by D is always equals to B multiplied by C. Now when we look at the percentage chapter, there are various chapters which are associated with this, like profit and loss, like shares and debentures, like the chapters simple interest and compound interest. Everywhere the phrase of increased by and decreased by is given. Now, first of all, we are understanding the meaning of the phrase increased by 20%. When we say that something is increased by 20%, that actually means that initially or the originally the value was 100, and after when it is increased by a value, it becomes 120. Because 20%, as I already told in the previous video, is 20 out of 100. So when I am saying that increased by 20%, this literally means increased by 20 out of 100. It means if initially it was 100, then it was increased by 20 value and it becomes 120. Many of the students think this as 10 increased to 30, but this is wrong, because when we say that increased by 20%, this actually means increased by 20 out of 100. If I am saying that something is increased by 25%, that actually means that originally value was 100 and 25 was the increase in it and it becomes 125. Now we look at the phrase decreased by some percent. Suppose we say it is decreased by 10%, that literally meaning that it is decreased 10 out of 100. It means that originally it was 100 and then it decreased by a value 10, it remains 90. When I am saying that something is decreased by 15%, now we can analyze. Decreased by 15% means that from 100 it decreased by 15 and it comes out to be 85. Now these are the meanings of these phrases, whether it is increased by or decreased by. Now these terms increased by and decreased by can be written as profit percent in the chapter profit and loss. Here decreased by can be written as loss percent in the chapter profit and loss. Same way it can be written by interest in the chapter simple interest, compound interest, and this can be written as depreciation in the same chapter. So we are actually talking about the terms increased by some percent and decreased by some percent. Now the question is that how we solve the question based on this. If I am saying that the weight of an article is 4 kg and the weight is increased by 25%. So what is the weight now? Here we have to be very clear that we can apply the concept of ratios, or A upon B is equal to C upon D, where product of extremes is always equals to product of middles. When we say 25% increase, that means the value becomes 125 out of 100. Because 25% increase means initially when it was 100, now it has become 125, and this is equals to the increased value upon the original value. Now, when we look at all the phrases like increase and decrease by some percentage, we always know that the original value is always 100. And the increased or the decreased value is according to the phrase. Here, obviously one of the values, either the original value is given to you and we have to find out the increased value, or in some question the increased value is given to you and we have to find out the original value. Here in this question we can say 125 upon 100 is equals to, now the increased value we have to find out, we put it as x and the original value is already 4. Once we cross multiply them, the value of x comes out to be 125 into 4 upon 100, or is equals to 5 kgs. Now, as we have solved this question by the concept of ratios, we can solve most of the questions by the concept of ratios, where the phrase increased by some percent and decreased by some percent is given. Let us take another example. Suppose I am saying the weight of a man is 60 kgs and it is increased by 10% in 2 years. When I am saying it is increased by 10% in 2 years, means after 2 years the weight 60 kg increased to some value. Let's say this value is x. Now the phrase increased by 10% we know is 110 upon 100. And now this 110 upon 100, the original value is always in the denominator, it is 60 kg and here it is x. We can calculate the value of x as 110 into 60 upon 100. Cancel it out, it comes out to be 66 kgs. So the questions of profit and loss, the question of shares and debentures, the questions of interest, compound interest, simple interest, all type of questions we can solve by this logic. And in the next video, I will clarify this area in more detail. Thank you.